Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. There's concerns over Chatham-Kent politicians representing the municipality at an anti-abortion banquet. That's according to documents obtained by CBC Windsor. Plus, pharmacists in the province are getting more prescribing powers. We get an update on what that means for Windsor, Essex, and we'll introduce you to Chicks with Sticks, a women's hockey team that's been around for 2 decades with no age limit to play. CBC News has learned that members of Chatham-Kent Council have regularly attended an anti-abortion fundraising banquet on behalf of the municipality. It's been happening annually for the majority of the last 7 years. Some councillors admit it doesn't send a good image to the broader community. The CBC's Jason Vio has been working on this story and joins us now with more. Jason, what do you know about why these councillors have been attending this anti-abortion banquet?
Well, Meg, it appears to have been a tradition for members of council to attend the annual Right to Life fundraising banquet. It's a charitable organization that calls itself pro-life. Now, I did file a Freedom of Information request, and the municipality only had records dating back to 2016. And aside from 2020 through 2022, when there wasn't a banquet due to COVID, at least one councillor or the mayor attended the anti-abortion banquet every year as a municipal representative. But Natalie Delia says she finds it frightening that they would attend. She's the acting head of the Interdisciplinary and Critical Studies Department at the University of Windsor.
We know from the United States that these are not freedoms that we can take lightly. I'm really concerned to find out that in their official capacity, government elected officials are working to platform these criminalizing movements. It's really disturbing.
Now, given what happened last year when the U.S. Supreme Court removed abortion as a constitutionally protected right, Delia says these are not freedoms that we can take lightly, and she says some feel that they are up for grabs.
Jason, how are members of council reacting to this concern?
Well, Chatham-Kent's Mayor Darren Caniff attended in 2019 and wasn't available to go this year. He wouldn't agree to an interview, but sent us an emailed statement and said, saying in part, "I'm here to support the people of Chatham-Kent regardless of affiliation, nationality, or belief, barring federally banned groups." Caniff also says his personal views are his own, but didn't say how he feels about abortion.
Jason, the councillors who attended this year's banquet, how do they feel about all of this?
Well, the two that attended, it was Rhonda Jubenville and Councillor Michael Bondi as well, both councillors in Chatham-Kent, and they attended the Right to Life Kent banquet this past April. Both call themselves pro-lifers, but add they respect others who have different views. After CBC spoke with them about this, they say their opinions may have changed slightly. For Bondi, he says council shouldn't be attending politically charged events in their official capacity, and Jubenville says council should have an all-or-nothing policy when it comes to divisive events, so it's fair across the board.
We can't pick and choose. Just like the flags, you can't pick and choose. You have to be fair and equal, and I guess you could say impartial and nonpartisan, but you can't pick and choose, because then you're causing division by doing that.
Yeah, maybe this is something that we should change. And I frankly, I'd never given it much thought because I've been doing this for 14 years. Things are so political nowadays. I really wish that, the municipality council and the mayor would stick to city business and, not get involved in all these things that we're getting involved in. I think it's becoming so political now that, we're drifting from, the very exciting topics of bridges and roads, snow plows, that's really what we're doing. That's what we do.
Now, I did reach out to Joanne Bondi, who helps run the Right to Life Kent banquet. She hasn't responded to our requests for a comment on this story, but it's important to note she is the wife of Councillor Michael Bondi, who we just heard from there. Both councillors who attended this year said they paid for their own tickets out of their own pockets, but according to documents CBC News received, it's not exactly clear if public tax dollars were ever used to buy tickets in previous years. You can read a lot more on this story, Meg, on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor.
Well, thanks so much for that, Jason. That is the CBC's Jason Vio reporting. Pharmacists have been given even more prescribing power to help eliminate patients' need for a doctor's visit. There are 6 new medical conditions the province has added to the list of 13 that was previously approved. The CBC's Dale Malner gives us an update on how the changes are going.
As of October 1st, pharmacists can now offer treatments for the following conditions: acne, canker sores, yeast infections, nausea and vomiting related to pregnancy, parasitic worms, and diaper rash. Pharmacists such as Tim Brady say it helps take the burden off the healthcare system.
So this just allows us now, instead of having, like a mom with the diaper rash, having to wait 2 hours in a waiting room, now we can give it a little bit something stronger and actually treat the baby and treat the mom right away.
Brady says they have an app that helps them decide when to prescribe something themselves and when to refer the patient to a doctor, for example, for more severe acne.
We're doing basic topical treatments, some like benzoyl peroxides and things like that, just topical things, but not a little bit stronger than the OTC over-the-counter things, so you'll see.
Brady says patients have been taking advantage of the program.
I think it's a great idea going to the pharmacist to get what you need. If you have acne or diaper rash for your child, it's time saving. Sometimes you can't get in to see the doctor. They're busy, they're overbooked, and you want something right away. You don't want to wait.
Brady says pharmacists can opt out of offering a treatment if they don't feel comfortable doing it. According to the Ontario Health Minister, 89% of the pharmacists in Ontario are participating in the program.
The Pharmacists Association, along with other organizations, are consulting with the province to see what other medical treatments could be added to the list. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Essex.
3 Windsor police officers were honored in this city today by the Police Association of Ontario. They were all finalists for the Hero of the Year Awards.
We hear far too often negative stories around policing, and it's why we have the Police Hero of the Year Awards. It's why we started this.
Constable Terry Dodich was recognized as an instrumental part in solving the cold case of 6-year-old Ljubica Topic from 1971. He's now retired. Sergeant Nathan Harris was a finalist for the Police Hero Honor Roll Award. Harris volunteers as a sports coach and started a community Secret Santa program with his wife, among other initiatives. And Constable Jeff Lowen was honored for his work with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a charitable organization that builds beds for kids who need them.
For me, the community involvement thing is a big part of dealing with the things we see and do every day. And it's an easy occupation to lose your humanity if you don't find a way to keep it.
The Pelee Island ferry acted as more than just transportation between the island and mainland this weekend. It helped rescue 9 people who were stranded in the water near Little Chicken Island. A boat from Sandusky, Ohio hit a sandbar and sank. That's when the Pelee Islander received a call for help, being the closest boat to the stranded family. Crews were able to trace the location. The ferry then sent out a rescue boat, which arrived around the same time as the Coast Guard. By that time, the family's boat had fully sank. The U.S. Coast Guard got the family out of the water and returned them to Sandusky. Officials say they're thankful all 9 passengers were wearing life jackets at the time. In a rare mid-session vote, members of Parliament have elected a new Speaker of the House of Commons.
That the honourable member for Hull Elmer has been elected as Speaker.
The election of Liberal MP Greg Fergus is historic. The 54-year-old becomes the first person of color to hold the job. As is tradition, Fergus was ceremoniously dragged to the Speaker's chair by the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. The election was triggered by the resignation of Anthony Rota. He stepped down last week after the Commons honored a man who fought for the Nazis in the Second World War. There are now new questions about the conflict between Canada and India. The Prime Minister said today relations are going through what he described as an extremely challenging time. Justin Trudeau also said the federal government isn't looking to escalate a diplomatic disagreement that came as a newspaper report said India wants dozens of Canadian diplomats out of the country. CBC's Evan Dyer has the latest.
Canada's foreign minister declined to confirm the reports from India that the Modi government wants more than 40 diplomats to leave.
We will continue to engage privately because we think that diplomatic conversations are best when they remain private.
But Jolie left little doubt that Canada is concerned about its presence in India.
More than ever, it's important that diplomats be on the ground. And that's why we believe in the importance of having a strong diplomatic footprint in India. That being said, we are in ongoing conversations with the Indian government.
2 weeks ago, New Delhi started to warn it might demand parity in diplomatic representation. In other words, lowering the number of Canadian diplomats in India to match the number of Indian diplomats in Canada.
The reason is that we have seen Canadian diplomatic interference in our internal affairs. This is a factor that is being taken into account for seeking parity in strength and ranking.
India says Canada has 62 diplomats. They're spread between the main High Commission in New Delhi and 4 consulates in Mumbai, Chandigarh, Calcutta, and Bengaluru. India claims it has only 21 diplomats in Canada, so this would mean Canada has to make a 2/3 reduction.
This is the heaviest gun that the Indians could use, short of breaking of diplomatic relations itself.
This former ambassador says India's latest escalation is particularly dramatic.
I can't think of another incident over the last 40 or 50 years where something like this has happened.
The cuts will make it hard to carry on business as usual, says this former diplomat, affecting the processing of visas and possibly also trade.
To do it on the scale that is being reported certainly would be a significant drag on Canada's diplomatic operations across India.
The escalation, he says, may be a sign that the dispute is hurting India more than it would like to admit.
We are seeing public discussion about whether the nature of those allegations changes how India is viewed internationally. So I think the stakes are also high for the Modi government.
India's claim to have only 21 diplomats in Canada is curious, given that Canada has 60 Indian representatives registered with Global Affairs. But India gets to choose what number of Canadian representatives to allow, say the former diplomats, and Canada will have no choice but to comply. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
We are introducing you tonight to a hockey team that's been going strong for more than 2 decades. It's an all-women's team that's introduced some players to a sport they may not have had the chance to play growing up. And as we learned, it's not just a team, they've also become like family. Every Wednesday for more than 2 decades, Chicks with Sticks have been hitting the ice.
I love to skate and play hockey, for one, and then just meeting with these girls every week.
Betty Gagno is the oldest member of the 20-player team. She started skating lessons at the age of 57 and has now been on the team for 18 years.
That's my inspiration to come out and keep me young, keeps me going.
The 81-year-old never got the chance to play when she was younger, with no established leagues for women. It's the story for a number of senior women on the team who have now fallen in love with the game.
I feel good when I come play hockey. I feel good before and I feel good after, even at my age of 65.
Over the years, the players, both young and old, have grown increasingly close, which may not be so obvious given each other's nicknames.
Mine is Old Bag. That's because I am the oldest on the team.
But the camaraderie outside the rink is what players say makes the team so special.
Been through a lot together. We've been through marriages and funerals and births of children and divorces and remarriages, and we've just made a lot of friends and we've become a big family.
Some women traveling an hour just to get to the game.
This is Gooch. Hi. It's an all year round team, and you don't want to forget how to skate, right?
And we laugh. Honestly, it's I think more about the laughing sometimes than it is the hockey.
Well, this weekend, kite flyers from all over the world headed to Leamington. About 1,000 people went to this year's South Point International Kite Festival. The temperature, of course, was beautiful, but the winds weren't so favorable. But that didn't stop participants from having a great time.
The purpose is to create a safe environment for families to play together as a community. And that's really the key word, is play. It's not about kites. Kites are things. This event is about creating an environment for families and kids to play, because through play, kids discover. That's how they learn. That's how they learn risk. And that's what we really love. We have over 2,000 LED lights spread over about 18 acres. We light up our kites. Last night there was not any wind, so that part didn't work out, but we had great ground displays, and we light up a lot of our displays on the ground. We have a 40-foot spaghetti tunnel. And a spaghetti tunnel is every 3 inches, we have a 6-foot streamer coming down, and the kids get to run through it. We have a 30-foot monarch, like a big canopy in the form of a monarch. Kids get to run underneath and play with. We have large Lego things they play with. I think COVID taught us the importance of human contact, and that makes what we do to a lot of us even more important. And that if it's free, if it's fun, and if it's community-based, that you can do it as an individual, as a family, and also be connected, it's a good thing, especially if it doesn't cost you anything. So there's nothing sweeter than the sound of a child's laughter, okay, when you see them doing this stuff. So we're not noble people. We're just people that get it. And we do it for selfish reasons, which is the joy we get from when you see families that, because we know for a lot of these people that this is a moment that they'll remember for the rest of their life because it's so unique.
We'll take a peek at the tower camera right now, and it's as warm out there as it looks. Those temperatures hitting high 20s earlier today. We have your full weather forecast coming up after the break. A curious house kitty on a late night stroll or a wildcat? This next story could leave you guessing. A New Brunswick man says his outdoor camera caught images of an eastern cougar, but experts aren't convinced.
I saw a track, took a picture of it. I think I have a short video of one that I just found on the trail camera. It was long and it was brown, and it had the fur, the hide on it had that real sleek appearance, this very short brown fur. And doing some comparison with actually my girlfriend's house cat, and there's a great difference in size.
There are lots of trail cams around, and we have no photographs, no footprints that we can confirm are cougar. But the question is there a resident population of cougar in New Brunswick? And I don't think there's any evidence there either is or was. I'm willing to be convinced. I'm just waiting for that cougar photograph to come along.
Well, you couldn't ask for a nicer start to October. Temperatures are so warm, it's hard not to notice. People are certainly taking advantage before that more fall-like weather hits. This weekend we saw people on the water, on their boats and jet skis, and people out running and biking. I even saw a few social media posts of people who were swimming in their backyard pools. Now, Colette, I know people were closing their pools up weeks ago.
We talked about it, right?
We did. We absolutely did. My grandparents were closing their pool, but if you were putting the task off, you might have actually gotten lucky this weekend.
Yes.
Like, it's just been spectacular weather. Hard to believe it's October 3rd.
It is so hard to believe, but I think it is one of those things, if you take that risk and you don't close your pool, yeah, the weather's not going to cooperate for you. But anyone who has that opportunity to enjoy. But hey, I'll tell you what, the Great Lakes, the water temperatures are very mild, still looking at about 20 degrees for Lake Erie. So you could always go jump in the lake. There's that as well. All right, looking at just some of the records, not all of the records, but I just wanted to put a few here on the board. Sarnia and Point Pelee, but something I really want to point out, Petawawa and Ottawa both at 30.6, but this is not just a daily record for the nation's capital. That record, which had been standing, you can see for how long, 1891 was the all-time warmest ever it had been in October, and now today that was beaten or crushed with the heat. And warmer in eastern Ontario actually than in southwestern Ontario, but warm all around. And it isn't just a matter of these temperatures, it's the humidity. So it means into the evenings and overnight hours, we keep some of that feel to it. It feels almost like a summer night, right? So there you are, 31, the Humidex for Windsor at the moment. We're still into a situation where we are protected by this ridge, this very dominant ridge of high pressure, and everything's going around, but that is all going to be breaking down. And as it does, we'll get the clouds, wind, and rain, and temperatures will be falling as well. So another day tomorrow where things are looking good, but into the afternoon, I'm increasing that cloudiness. We'll see that changing a little bit. Still a very nice day and a warm one. But then as we get closer to Thursday, we start to see the risk. Well, certainly the clouds become thicker, but we start to see that risk of the rain showers beginning to move in. A lot of this line wants to pull north, but eventually the tail end's all coming through as well. And once we get into this new weather pattern, this area of low pressure is essentially going to set up over top of us, an upper low. And just like we've kind of been stuck in this ridge of high pressure, which is generally positive to most folks, we'll be stuck in that trough. And so we're going to have some unsettled weather, and the timing's just bad because it is coming for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Overnight temperatures, we may slide to 17, but have us at 18 for Windsor, 28 for tomorrow. Still those Humidex values, 32 to 34. And then you can see that slide. That slide is certainly in the sky conditions, but the slide in temperatures. And keeping in mind, we've had very mild overnights, and we're going to see those starting to drop off as well, Meg.
Well, Colette, of course, I'm loving this warm weather. I'm probably going to binge it as much as I can tomorrow, but I'm not that sad about a little bit more fall-like weather for Thanksgiving.
Yes, yes. I wish it didn't come with so much rain, though. It can pull those leaves off before we even have a chance to see them change, right?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Wishing for better, for no wind, no rain. That's what we're wishing for.
There you go.
Thanks so much, Colette. a competition to celebrate baldness. We have the details of that event coming up after the break. Donald Trump says he will testify at his civil fraud trial in New York. The former U.S. president spoke to reporters as he attended court for a second day.
Yes, I will. At the appropriate time, I will be. I think it's going very well. Everybody was given financial statements. The financial statements are extremely strong.
The case could deliver a major blow to Trump's real estate empire. Trump, some executives, and his two eldest sons are named. Accusations include falsifying business records and financial statements to obtain favorable loans and lower insurance premiums. He's facing penalties of up to $250 million and a ban on doing business in New York State. Last week, a judge ruled that Trump and his company inflated his wealth by billions of dollars for years. The civil fraud case is about the remaining claims in the lawsuit. A celebration for hairless heads. This is one of the many fun games at the Bald Head competition in northern Japan. A tug-of-war using suction cups on each participant's head. Other games included tossing cooling gel sheets at some willing competitors. And a visit to the land of the rising sun isn't complete without art. One creative mind found a perfect way to capture the heavenly orb on canvas. The event is aimed at promoting positivity during someone's hair loss journey. The event is being held for the first time in 4 years. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. And don't forget to watch the National tonight at 9 on CBC News Network, 10 p.m. on CBC News app, CBC TV, and streaming. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're having a lovely sunny evening. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.